Hello friends, and welcome back to the Dork side. I'm the Dork on the road, and today we're test riding the 2022 Yamaha XT250 here at Power Motorsports in Sublimity. I'm the Dork on the road, and I want to be your internet riding buddies, so please consider subscribing. Big shout out and thank you to our friends here at Power Motorsports in Sublimity. I've made it my mission to try to get out and test ride every single sort of entry-level dual sport there is. One that I've long wanted to get a chance to ride is the Yamaha XT250, because it is one of the most beginner-friendly dual sports out there because it has a very low seat height, but it's still fuel injected and has a lot of modern features. I'm excited to get out and take a test ride on this bike and give you sort of my first impressions and let you know how it feels to ride it and how I think it will be as an entry-level bike. Keep in mind, this is not a review, it's a test ride first impressions video. I'm only gonna have the bike for about half an hour, so I'll talk about as much as I can, but you know, there's gonna be things that owners know that I don't. There's gonna be specs and pieces that I miss. I've wanted to ride one of these for a long time, so I'm excited. Let's get out there and do it. So this is the 2022 Yamaha XT250. Not many changes. They haven't made a major update in a while, so it's going to be the same for any recently modern XT250. This is the distinctive round headlight that you don't see on the dual sports. That's how you know it's an XT. And fuel injected and a decently low MSRP, so it's a great entry-level bike. Now, some people get offended when I use the term entry-level, and when I say entry-level, I just mean easy for a new rider to handle, not only for new riders. There's no reason why someone with a little bit more experience couldn't have fun on a bike like this. So overall, how do I feel about the XT250? I gotta say, I'm 0% surprised. It's exactly what I expected it to be, and I mean that in a very complimentary way. I've ridden a lot of 250 class dual sports, and it's very comparable to all those, particularly the Japanese dual sports. I rode a CRF 250L for a long time, and this bike reminds me a lot of that. I rode that KLX 230 out here, same thing. It's that same kind of unintimidating, easy to ride, very forgiving for a beginner, a new rider bike, but still has enough that you could just get into it and really have a good time as a more experienced rider. Now, it's more like riding a go-kart fast fun for an experienced rider than it is like driving a Corvette fun. But that's still fun. It's fun to take a slow bike and ride it as fast as you want, and as a more experienced rider, you could totally do that with this all day. I could blast up and down logging roads on this thing all day and have a great time. What's unique about the XT250 is the low seat height, and because of that, the proximity of your feet to your waist. This is a bike I would not be comfortable on for long stretches on the highway. Off-road, where I'd be standing up some and definitely shifting back and forth, I don't know if I'd notice it as much, but it wouldn't be my first choice as a 5'11" person with a little bit of riding experience, just because it's gonna get to my hip flexors and my knees eventually, have my legs bent up like that. That's a disadvantage for me, but if you're 5'7", 5'8", if you got a shorter inseam, 28 inches, something like that, you're gonna love this bike because you can get your feet down, it's comfortable, and you're not sacrificing. Usually when you get a bike with low seat height, you're sacrificing ground clearance, you're sacrificing suspension travel, and not so much on this bike. This is still a perfectly capable, comparably capable to the other 250 dual sports, except the WR dual sport bike. It's great. It's got some modern features that a lot of the dual sports like the T-dubs and the DRZ haven't been updated in decades, and the XT250 is at least from this century. It has fuel injection, low price to entry, and look, it's got these cool grab bars. If you're a shorter rider looking for an entry-level dual sport, look no further than the XT250. Buy a used one, buy a new one. If you're a shorter rider who wants modern features, if you want a modern bike with fuel injection and some of those other nicer things, you don't want to deal with a carburetor or whatever, here it is, the XT250. I think it's worth the money, and like all of these entry-level 250 dual sports, really, they're so similar that one, it probably doesn't matter which one you get unless like seat height is like the big determining factor on this one. But two, you got to ride them all because the differences are so minimal. There's not one that is like so much better than all the others. It's really going to come down to how it feels, how it fits you, and how you like it. And so I always would encourage you to get out and test ride bikes like this. If you're shopping around looking at like the KLX 230 and the XT250 and the CRF 250L and the T-dubs, whatever, I have a list of my top 5 favorite entry-level dual sport bikes updated for this year, for 2021, and I'll link that for you here so you can check out some other options. But again, it really is just going to come down to test riding. On the highway, it's the same as every other 250 dual sport. It's kind of wound out at 60, 65. It's comfortable enough in terms of vibration, but you don't have a lot of power to accelerate. You can take it on the freeway, but I wouldn't do it much or often. I'd avoid it. This is a bike I would take on the back roads. You're gonna get blown around by the wind. You know, it's not for that. It'll do it, but it's not for it. This is your putting around town and cruising up in the woods, maybe even trail riding, doing some of that stuff bike. And for that, I feel pretty good about it. So if you have questions about the XT250 that I can answer based on my limited time with it, I'd be happy to try. Just leave them in the comments. Like I said, this is a sort of test ride first impressions video. It's not a review. I've only had it for half an hour, so I can't tell you what it's like to ride it for long term, but I bet there's many XT owners in the comments who can chime in and answer those questions if you have them, so leave those below too. Just want to say thank you one more time to Power for the opportunity to get out and test ride this bike. Matt's really cool, let me take these things off road, and so if you're looking for a motorcycle, you want to buy one, I would, new or used, call up my buddy Matt at Power, he'll hook you up. I'll leave a link in the description to their website. All right, well, I'm gonna rip up this gravel road back to the dealership because it's hella fun. And I just wanna say thank you very much for watching, and please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!